Good morning, it's Tess, and today's tip is the greatest gold is harvested from the mind. Again, I'm reading the book 3 Feet from Gold. This is Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed. I was at a mastermind secret knock with Greg Reed and Sharon Lechter both a couple of weeks ago. And in this book, they are talking about no man achieves great success who is unwilling to make personal sacrifices. That's a quote from Napoleon Hill in this book. And one of the things they talk about is that there's far more gold harvested from the minds of great people that can ever be unearthed from the soul. And I think it's back to everything that I've been learning in the past couple of years and all these masterminds I attend and the events and the books that I'm reading. I've always had a passion for learning. I've always had a passion for reading. I've always had a passion for the adventures of unknown. And so this is actually something that's comfortable to me, but I think it's so true. Les Brown often talks about in his talks that many gifts are in the graveyard, just meaning that they're gifts that people are never able to share. And I thought this book was really good, and that it talks about like one of the quotes they talk about, sometimes we become overwhelmed with the process it takes to get to an end result. And we let that block us from moving forward. Doc V talks a lot about how, good morning, I can see somebody's on with me. I can't see who it is, but good morning and thank you for being here. And I think a lot goes back to so often we get blocked by the steps it takes to get down the road. And we get caught up, or at least I used to get caught up in analyzing. Well, hi, Glow, good to see you. And I get caught up in like trying to analyze and decide what the next step is. And I often don't take the step as quick as I should. And Doc V has always kind of talked to us about take the shot, adjust down the path, take the shot, adjust down the path. We don't want to get stuck by analysis paralysis. We want to keep moving down the road. And that is something historically I've had issues with, as I've stood on the dock looking at the beautiful island across the way, but I'm afraid to get on the boat to go over. So I think that's one thing I've been trying to learn, is to jump into things that aren't comfortable. Even in the groups, going to these masterminds was something that was not always comfortable for me. But I'm finding such great joy in meeting people who have accomplished such amazing things that it makes me feel good about moving forward. Well, I see Rosemary's on, and Glow, good morning. So nice to have you here. And for anyone else I don't see, thank you for being here. And again, just in sharing, I've been reading 3 Feet from Gold. I am now actually listening to audibles while I follow through on the books. I received like 30 books when I was at Secret Knock, and I'm finding that I get through the books faster that way. And I love the knowledge, and I love the sharing of the journeys. And this book, I kind of had a feeling, I thought who it was talking to in the book, and recently it came out. It was who I thought they were talking about. But that's the beauty, is people sharing their stories. And one thing that was kind of said in this chapter I'm reading is that you never feel or remember the blows or the things that you struggled with to get down the path. You only feel the victory. And I think if we can remember when we're standing on that start and we're afraid to take the next step, that when we finally make it to the goal, we don't remember the struggle quite as much as we remember the victory. And I know that's true of me, because I've talked about the first time, because we all know this is the second time I've lost over 100 pounds. It is the first time that I'm pretty much 6 years out and I'm still on the journey. But what I do remember is that after I lost the 100 pounds the first time, I was in the gym, and we have a local ride here, which is called the 300-mile Wish-A-Mile, and we raise money for Make-A-Wish. And it was 100 miles a day on a bicycle. I didn't even own a bicycle, and I committed with everybody in the gym to do the ride. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, 100 miles a day with 4 months of training. It was a tough thing to do, but it's true. I remember it was tough, but I remember more, and what stands out most in my mind is crossing that finish line and carrying the medal with me for a month, that if anybody stood still long enough, they heard about it. Or remembering that my trainer, after it was all said and done, said, I didn't think you'd be able to do it, and I did it. And I think it's true what this is saying, is that you never feel or remember the blows quite as much as you remember and feel the victory. And I think for all of us, if we start to remember that there are amazing things that are awaiting us, and things that we can, Actually, it's almost like it is a type of medicine that heals the pains and gives you that drive to push forward. Too often we get blocked on the small step instead of realizing the real gain in the victory of moving forward. I thought about it a lot too, and I was listening to a podcast from somebody that I met through the experience with Chris Nagel, and he had on somebody who's lost weight and had it off for longer than I have. And we often fight like, well, hi, Terry, good to see you. Oh, there you go. See? And Terry's talking about childbirth. You remember the joy of having the child, but that brief moment, there are people that are 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, a year and a half later are having another child because that pain of that moment is gone and you're enjoying this lifetime of this child. And I think so much of our life, we have to start pushing forward and enjoying what the next steps are. I know Sundance, this is where I was going. Doc V has been talking a lot about we are conditioned to like even to think there are certain ways to eat. And what I found really interesting is Gordon, who was somebody I met at the first experience that Chris Nagel had, he's a personal trainer and he interviews and podcasts with people who've lost weight and kept it off. And what I found really interesting is the woman he talked to this week was talking about how she's in a constant struggle with her trainer about how many meals she should eat a day. And Doc V's been talking a lot about, is it marketing that tells us to eat 6 small meals a day, or is there really good research behind it? Because if we struggled with our weight our whole lives, is the idea of introducing food 6 times a day a great idea? And then I've often talked like with my mom. My mom grew up on a farm, and I said, everyone talks about how farmers started their days with these great meals every morning. And my mom goes, well, wait a minute. Farmers' meal, breaking their fast, is really about 11 o'clock in the morning because first thing they feed every morning is the animals. So they don't get up and break their fast and have this big, massive meal. She says they've already put in 4, 5, 6 hours of work feeding the farm animals. So I think we've gotten programmed into ways of thinking that maybe we need to let go of. And back to this podcast with Gordon, he was talking to this woman who, I think she said her surgery was in 2008, and she actually struggles to eat no more than 1 or 2 meals a day. Well, any of us in the challenge with Doc V understand that he talks about that you don't need to eat the number of meals everyone keeps pushing. And at some point we have to wonder, is that marketing? And can we eat the number of meals a day they're talking about? And he's a really big proponent of eat a salad for 1 meal, eat a green smoothie for another, because you're getting vitamins and nutrients from that, and then just eat 1 small balanced meal. And then in talking to my mom about the farmers, they actually go out and feed all their animals and take care of that first. And when they have their first breakfast meal in the morning, she said they've already put in 4 or 5 hours of work. So sometimes I think it is exactly what Doc V says. What we think we know that just ain't so. Chris Nagel says that all the time too. And we have to step back. If we are not able to have 3, 4, 5, and 6 meals a day because we cannot be trusted to have the very small meal that is really the idea of that, then we have to judge where we're at in our journey. Are we better to have a salad, a green smoothie, because we are giving ourselves our body the nutrients that it requires, and having 1 meal a day? So I think it is in evaluating truly where you're at, because I think in the old me, I picked the thing that fit what I wanted to do. And this time I've got to pick what really supports my journey. And it's not going to be what it looked like in the past, because I know what I did in the past and where it got me. So it is in entertaining and trying these things that we're being told. And it really made me think about, because Doc V's been talking a lot about how we don't necessarily need all these meals every day that everyone's talking about. And this woman who's been hugely successful in her journey is saying on a podcast, because she was very thin and she's doing all kinds of groups trying to help people to maintain weight loss. She was saying she eats a meal a day, but she's not, and on occasion 2 meals a day, but she is not a rigid 3 or more meals a day. And she said that the obstacles she faces is everyone's pushing her, saying that she's malnourished. But if she's getting her blood work done and she's following like green smoothies and salads and her body is healthy, then maybe that's what we have to evaluate. What is our body telling us? What are our lab works telling us? Sometimes I do think we're impacted by marketing and we don't even realize it's happening. So I guess this book, 3 Feet from Gold, amazing book. I love it. And remember that it's telling us in this chapter I was reading, the gold is what's inside our own minds. The greatest gold that we will ever unearth is inside here. So trust that you have instinctively what's inside of you, and try to step back and say, are you making a decision because somebody's telling you something that you want to follow, or is it really something that is going to move you forward on your journey? I think, as Terry said, childbirth is something that is very painful, but people forget it and they're ready to have, in some cases, a dozen kids. That brief uncomfortable is acceptable if you end up with that vein of gold that takes you through a lifetime. So don't give up on that vein of gold that will carry you for a lifetime for a small little struggle or adjustment on your journey right now. There's beautiful things waiting, and I know my world's just opening up, and for all of you, I think the world's just opening up. Let's open up, let's educate, let's learn, let's experience new things. Let's see what we can share with each other to make this world better every single day, and stop being in that place of pain and unhappiness and sorrow, and find a way maybe to share some joy and some happiness and some love with each other. Law of attraction, joy, happiness, and love. Thomas, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Good morning. And I know I'm almost to the end now, but I do appreciate you guys all. This again is 3 Feet from Gold, Sharon Lechter and Greg Reed. And today it was about the gold, that the greatest gold that we'll ever unearth is inside of our minds. And we really have to sometimes step back. And what we've been hearing and what we've been told our whole life, as Doc V will always say, and Chris Snoggle too, sometimes what we've been told our whole life is not really the best avenue, and maybe a piece of the information is missing. Like I said, when I've talked to my mom, farmers may eat a big meal in the morning, but it's after they've already put in 4 or 5 hours working on the farm, feeding the animals. So we have to really step back and not allow someone else, like Lo just said, not allow someone else to tell us what our mind or what we should be thinking, but maybe try something new and see what works for our journey. There are beautiful things waiting for all of us, and together we can reach our hands out and help each other to experience something new. And if we all find a little avenue that helps the next person around a little bit faster, it's just amazing what's out there waiting for us. We can show them all. It's not such a bad thing. There's some beautiful things waiting for all of us, and together we'll get there. And thank you for being here. Have a beautiful day. I appreciate you all more than you'll ever know, and we'll talk tomorrow. Thank you.